This show is for everyone working at the Coalface. Digital, business, marketing, social. This is At the Coalface with your host, Jason Greenwood. Hello everybody, I'm Jason Greenwood. Welcome to episode 42 of At the Coalface. Today I'm going to be giving you a bit of a recap of my experience over at Magento Live in Sydney and what I think that might mean for you, regardless of whether you run the Magento platform or not, and what that may mean for the wider e-commerce community in general. Some of my key takeaways that I guess I found out at the conference, as well as I guess some of my own insights and experiences with Magento Live, with the Magento community, and kind of where I believe all of that is heading and how it is going to impact you. So I've been involved with Magento for over 6 years, both from Magento partner agency side, e-commerce agency side, all the way to the merchant side, and running that whole gamut. And so I'm very familiar with the Magento platform. I'm also, I'm very well connected, I guess, with the Magento ecosystem. I know a lot of the extension providers, both as professional friends and on a personal level. I know a lot of third-party vendors of tools and technology. So within the commerce stack itself, I guess I know a lot of the people that play in that space and provide services and technologies that plug into the Magento platform and ecosystem itself. So it's always a good opportunity when I go to Magento Live in Australia. It's one of the larger Magento events that's sponsored and hosted by Magento themselves every single year. Magento Imagine is their largest event, and it's held in Las Vegas every year. But certainly, I don't know if Sydney. I'm not 100% sure if it's their second largest event of the year, but it must be in the sort of top 5. It's a very large event. Thousands of people attend every single year. It's been held at the Hilton in Sydney, I think, for 3 or 4 years now. So maybe since 2014. So yeah, I guess 2 years now. So, it's a great event, great city, love Sydney, fantastic place. I stayed in a hotel just around the corner, so it was like a 3-minute walk from my hotel to the Hilton where they're holding the event in their big, basically event center hall there. And then they had several breakaway rooms for the smaller tracks and sessions and that sort of thing. So it was really good. And then they had, as they always do, they had a vendor area, if you will, a vendor pavilion, where all of the vendors, partners, all of the Magento partners that do development on the Magento platform and partners that provide adjunct technologies to Magento and supporting technologies to Magento, they can all kind of hawk their wares, so to speak, and all of the delegates and attendees can simply go up and meet with everyone in one holistic area. So you've got all of the local partners that are based in Australia, almost all of them will be there. And so they will be presenting how they can help merchants sell more stuff on Magento and build their site on Magento, etc. So for everyone that's not overly familiar with Magento, Magento's an e-commerce platform, and it's one of the world's most popular e-commerce platforms. Depending on whose data you're looking at, it's always in the top couple, and once again, depending on the vertical and depending on the space, it's sometimes the top platform. Whether you're looking at enterprise class all the way down to sort of this SMB class product. It is a self-hosted product, so you host it on your own servers, either in your own data center, in your own building, or through a managed hosting provider. and it's a pretty flexible platform as well, because you can dig into the code. Your partner developer, the agency you work with, can actually dig into the underlying logic of Magento. They can make changes to it, they can make customizations to it, they can make enhancements to it, and they can also change the full front-end experience as well. So from a UI, UX perspective, they can make that anything you want it to be. And so I guess owing to that flexibility, the flip side of that flexibility is some amount of complexity. So this year, the buzz at Magento Live was really all about Magento 2. Where's Magento 2 going? Where's it headed? How is Magento going to deal with some of the challenges and teething issues? Because Magento 2 was released at the beginning of this year. It's been the biggest change in code to Magento in its history, apart from when it was first released. And so, we're now at a genesis. We're now at a place where in Australia, Magento owns roughly 50% of the e-commerce market in terms of platform share. So, huge, by far the market leader in that market. I would assume it would be similar here in New Zealand. If you go over to my Facebook page, I have done a Facebook Live video from there about the meeting that I had with Magento CEO Mark Lavelle and Head of Sales Ben Presley. And so I had a one-on-one meeting with those guys when I was there, and asked them some of the harder questions around Magento 2 and some of the roadmap things that are on Magento's radar. And so, pop over to the Facebook page if you want to see that. That's been uploaded to that page. So, but I think one of the things that struck me about Magento Live is that as I go year after year, a lot of the content kind of stays the same. It's a lot of thinly veiled sales pitches. It's a lot of technology providers that really want to obviously sell you stuff and sell you their services and sell you their technologies that plug into Magento, and even Magento themselves. Obviously, they use it as a bit of a showcase event to kind of showcase where they've been and what they've achieved and where they're headed and why you should make the move to Magento, or if you're already on Magento, why you should stay on Magento. And it's a Kool-Aid drinking exercise, and I guess all events of this nature where they're hosted by a vendor, they're going to be the same. So I guess whether you go to a Suite Connect, whether you go to Suite World in America for NetSuite, or whether you go to Oracle World, or whether you go to anything by Bronto, or basically any technology vendor. If you go to something by Microsoft, obviously they're going to be dishing out the Kool-Aid about Microsoft products. So I don't think Magento is any different in that regard. I think what's slightly different about Magento is the fact that it comes from very much an open source model. It comes from an open source underpinning. The sense of community and I guess the tight-knitness of the community of Magento is more than what you'll see in some of those other platforms, whether those other platforms be SaaS products, whether they be other self-hosted products that are proprietary. I think that unique combination of it being a open source product that's got a premium paid version and a true open source version. It's got that freemium model, if you will, where you can start out on the community version of Magento, pay nothing, download the software, get it up and running, and go start selling. And then you've got the premium enterprise class model, which has got some additional functionality that you get when you pay for the software. So I think that model's a little bit unique. They've managed to make it very, very successful. Roy Rubin, one of the co-founders of Magento, has obviously done a great job. He's now back on Magento's board, I think as of last month. So, I think they've got this unique community, and really, I guess that's why I go to Magento Live. It's to refresh those relationships that I have with all of those people in the community down in this part of the world, because, I only get to see those people because I'm based in Auckland. I'm not in Sydney all the time. I don't get to go to all the e-commerce and digital events that are in Australia like a lot of those guys might be able to. So I get a couple of opportunities per year, if that, to go and really catch up with these people, sit down, have a bite to eat with them, have a drink with them, sit down, explore where they're at in their world, where I'm at in my world, and really I'd be surprised if every single major vendor and partner down there, I kind of know them quite well, or at least I know of them, and so I can go up and have a conversation with them, and so I really look forward to that opportunity every year, because it's those experiences and it's those conversations that add the value. You can look online and you can see whatever Magento thinks about their own product, right? But it's also the merchant to merchant sessions. So Magento at Magento Live will host merchant to merchant sessions where in some of those sessions you will actually sit down at round tables with other merchants and discuss merchant problems. So they'll throw out some questions, So they effectively have a moderator. They'll throw out questions to each individual table or group of merchants, and then it's like, go, okay? Discuss, talk about what your thoughts, your experiences and feelings are, document those, and then we will share those around. And so what they'll do is they'll hand the microphone around at the end of each question and answer period. They will hand the microphone around to a spokesperson at each table, and effectively that spokesperson will communicate to the entire room what the table's collective experience and thoughts are around that particular question that was asked by the Magento moderator. And so I actually find those sessions to be incredibly helpful. It's nice to know, obviously, that other merchants are having similar challenges to you, or that they've found similar solutions to you, to share what works, share what doesn't, because we all come from different verticals, different business models, B2C, B2B, B2G, business to government, and so those experiences and sharing those experiences with different pieces in the technology stack all plugged in together, seeing what works and what doesn't, is really the most valuable stuff. And I think one of the things that came out of the particular merchant-to-merchant session that I attended was, the lack of a single view of the customer, even in relatively advanced, very mature merchant spaces. And so, that is still a challenge. Getting a single view of the customer is still a real challenge. So a lot of businesses are still in the phase of either selecting a CRM or mid-implementation or forecasting an implementation of a CRM system in 2017. So I think that was a huge, eye-opener for me. I kind of felt like everybody understood that a CRM at its very core was kind of a bare minimum to having that single view of the customer that you could plumb all of your other data into around that customer from all the various channels that you interact with them on. But, it is still a hard thing to swallow. It's a large project for most businesses that have been running for some time, and they've got legacy data they try to get into those platforms. So that was a real eye-opener for me. Certainly having the concept of omni-channel just go away, and just, I think everybody in those merchant-to-merchant sessions realized that the concept of omni-channel, whilst still valid and relevant, just needs to go away, and it just needs to be seen as commerce. So there is an absolute crystal clear understanding amongst all merchants of any kind of significance at all that they know that, and we all know that customers are going to be transacting with us wherever, whenever, and however they want. And if we're not there, we're going to miss out on an opportunity to do business with them. They're going to want to purchase from us. They're going to want to ask questions of us. They're going to want to return products to us across all channels from all devices. They want a seamless experience no matter where that happens, where that interaction takes place. They expect naturally nowadays a virtual 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service level. That's their expectation because they're carrying their phones with them 24/7 basically. And so there is an understanding that, especially for not only omni-channel merchants, but global merchants that are transacting in more than one country, more than one location, more than one region, there are some real challenges around providing and scaling their business model, both from a technology but also from a people perspective, to meet those rapidly evolving consumer expectations and being able to move stock around between warehouses, running their own warehouses versus integrating with 3PL and 4PL services, and what products come from where at what time to maximize not only the profit but the experience the customer gets, making sure it gets to them as fast as possible, dealing with returns in a seamless fashion. Putting out content at scale that's valuable to the consumer, putting out content that is magnetic and attracts new customers as well. Certainly that inbound marketing concept is also well entrenched across the merchant base. So I was really impressed, I guess, to see that some of these modern commerce concepts are really becoming the norm, at least in the merchants' minds, even if they haven't been able to execute on all these things yet. Big data, AI, VR, AR, VR and AR are still, a long way off in merchants' minds because they're still trying to execute on all of kind of, I guess, the e-commerce 101 things that they know they need to get right as foundational steps before they can evolve the channels that they transact on and the devices that they're able to support. So, I think that there's an absolute understanding out there of what needs to be done. Exactly how, in what order, and how fast they need to do it, as well as the investment required. I think there's a little bit of confusion around that still. And I think those are the hard questions that need to be asked, and those are the hard answers that need to be arrived at by heads of digital e-commerce managers, CEOs, CTOs, CMOs, CDOs, those real C-suite decision makers really need to understand, I guess, even more than ever before, that digital is not just a channel now. Digital is the way people do business. It's the way they interact with your company. It's the way that they want to find out information about your business, and ultimately it's the way that they want to be able to stay in contact with your business. And if you're even going to have a remote chance of both attracting and retaining them, you have to be native to wherever they are, and not just pretend to be native, but you actually have to be there natively, and you have to understand the language of that channel and that device. So I think there's some real key takeaways from that. I had a great experience. I came back, and one of the reasons for the delays of this video is because I came back and I was deathly ill, so probably not enough sleep, a couple of plane flights back to back. I flew over, was there for a day and a half, and then I flew home that evening. So it was a lot of flying in a very short period of time, and long days and nights and everything else. So I came back and I was quite sick for a few days, so sorry about the delay in getting this video out, but definitely I would urge you, if you're ever down in this part of the world and you are considering the Magento platform, or you already run it and you really want to be exposed to the broadest range of experts and fellow users of that product, then by all means definitely come along. Also, Magento Imagine, if you're based in North America, Europe has its own Magento Live events as well. So if you're in North America, however, try to make it to a Magento Imagine at least once in Las Vegas. You'll be able to see what the community really is all about. And to me, the thing that makes Magento great is the community that is around it. Without the community, it would just be another technology platform. So I know Magento parrots on a lot about the community, so to speak, but really, at the end of the day, it's been the glue that's actually kept Magento on track over the years. It's kept Magento accountable. It's kept them really, I guess, on a leash, if you will, and it's prevented them from going full-blown corporate, technology vendor, American style bullshit, frankly, and it's really kept them on a relatively short leash, because they really, it's a catch-22 for Magento. They want to be independent, and they want to kind of do their own thing, and they want to continue to evolve the platform, but by the same token, they have to, stay in good stead with their partner agencies and networks, because at the end of the day, those are the people out there in the marketplace actually selling their product on their behalf, and they're the ones supporting that product on their behalf effectively, and so therefore they're really reliant on those partners to represent their product at the highest level, at the board level, really, on the merchant side. So it was a great event. I hope you guys get a chance to go. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. Also, if you want to ask any questions on my Facebook video about my meeting with Mark and Ben, then by all means post your questions there. I'd look forward to hearing your thoughts. Have you ever been to Magento Live, or have you ever been to Magento Imagine? What's your thought about the platform, about its future? The key takeaways, I guess, very high level from my meeting with Mark and Ben, was the fact that Magento has absolutely no intention of going SaaS anytime soon. Philosophically, they're not opposed to SaaS products. They just think that in order to create differentiated consumer experiences for merchants, or by merchants, you have to have total control of the platform, not only the UI and UX layer, but the logic and the functionality behind that, and the ability to customize all of that to your unique business needs. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's Magento's position. So if you were wondering, or you were thinking that maybe Magento would come out with a full SaaS ground-up rewrite version of Magento, it's not going to happen. They fundamentally believe that they're on the right track. They fundamentally believe that they need to continue on as they have done, which is to have a self-hosted product that is completely customizable top to bottom, and they believe that's the way that they're going to continue to grow their market share and provide differentiated experiences versus some of the other platforms that are in the marketplace. So wish them well, hope they continue to do well, and yeah, let me know your thoughts. Look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, bye.